I got Gareth and Martin with me today.
Hey.
He's going to ask them a few little questions.
Yeah.
How long have you both been vegan?
I've been vegan 10 years now. Almost. It's coming up end of this year, so a few more months. Be my 10 years, so it'll be a whole decade. Pretty proud about that.
And what made you become vegan?
Oh, definitely 100% first it was for animals,
Yeah.
for ethical reasons. But then as most vegan people do, you start to look into it more.
Yeah.
And then there was environmental reasons and health reasons, of course.
So were you
Um,
inspired by something at the beginning that sparked
Yeah,
you to...
yeah, there was a lot of inspiration in the beginning. I mean, the very first thing I think was just watching a small video clip of some poor treatment of animals, and then that set me off down a wormhole. But then there was all sorts of things. Gary Yourofsky, who did a lot of activism a long
You
time
did?
back, and
Yeah.
I watched some of his videos, and then watched some other videos, and yeah, from all that, I just said, it was one night, and I just said, that's it. I don't want to contribute to any of this
Yeah.
ever again.
So you quit overnight?
Quit overnight. I was already eating mostly vegetarian food by that point.
Yeah.
But then I just said no more dairy, eggs, anything, and the occasional little meat that I did have, I just said no,
Yeah.
none of it ever again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was overnight. So it was a big change.
Yeah.
But I was, like I said, already moving more into an ethical mind space, I guess, with my whole lifestyle.
Yeah. What about you, Martin?
I've only been vegan for 3 years.
Yeah.
I became vegan because I had a very physical job, and the time it took me to recover from a day's work was too long.
Yeah.
And then I watched a documentary called Game Changers. They claimed that you could cut your recovery time by being a vegan, and that's why I initially became a vegan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't argue with the results. I went from taking 2 days to recover to overnight I was recovered and ready to go back to work.
What job was that you were doing, Martin?
In my younger days, I was always doing steel work, whether it was building stadiums, scaffolding, rigging.
Yeah.
Very labour intensive
Yeah.
jobs.
And was it an easy transition for you to go like from eating everything to suddenly eating a purely plant-based diet?
I kept waiting to miss eating something. Like, I guess you kind of go through the list of your favourite things, like bacon. I was like, how can I live without bacon? And I waited to miss it, and I waited, and I waited, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, even although there's a lot of publicity saying you need this and you need that, and you almost condition yourself to thinking, well then I must need it. It just never came up. I never missed it.
No.
I got the results that they claimed that I would get. So I never regretted it, and I never felt like going backwards, because it did everything that it said it would do,
Sure.
and more.
Sure.
Because they talked to you in the documentary more about physical health,
Yes.
but it seems to help on many levels, and I found even mental health and sleep and lots of other things.
Yeah,
it
benefits.
seems to help with.
Yeah.
It's very
And
good.
then to me that brought to mind you are what you eat.
Yep.
So if you eat something that's stuck inside a cage and it can't move and it doesn't have a very good mental health, and you are what you eat,
Yeah.
possibly the food that you're eating is affecting you mentally
That's
as
right.
well as
100%.
physically.
Yeah, if if you're consuming death and
Yeah.
all this awful stuff
Stress.
and stress and hormones, and it's not going to be healthy or good for you
Yeah.
in any way. physically or mentally.
So, but in recent times, both of you sort of started to get into raw foods.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, for me, probably just the last 2 years when I moved up here to far north Queensland, living in the wet tropics, and I bought land, planting a lot of fruit trees. I've slowly been shifting towards a more raw diet and fruitarian diet.
Yep.
Because I love fruit, and there's so many that we can grow,
Yeah.
and there's an abundance of all these amazing fruits, and most of them I'd never heard of before. 80-90% of these fruits, I was like, what's that? So when I was tasting them, it was a whole new, it was like being a child again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You taste this thing you've never had it ever in your life, and wow, and then the different flavors of different things, and having that all now readily available, I feel much better as well eating a raw diet.
Yep.
If I ever, I'm not 100% just yet, I would say I'm pretty close to raw vegan / fruitarian. Eating fruit, I just feel really great all the time.
Yeah.
And occasionally if I have a bit of cooked food, I don't feel so well.
Yeah.
So
Do you notice that effect straight away when you eat cooked food?
I have a bit of inflammation, so it's an autoimmune issue.
Yep.
And 24 hours, if I eat a cooked meal, say in the evening, the next day,
Yep.
I'll have some pain in some of my joints. It's immediate.
Yeah.
I just think, why would I, if I'm consuming that and my body's telling me it's not so good,
Yeah.
then why would I continue to eat it? So, I think very soon I'll just stick to fruitarian diet, have all fruits and obviously include leafy greens and salad, to get what my body will need. But I just feel much better. And the fruits are amazing to eat all the time, the flavours and the tastes, and it's,
And now you're growing a lot of your own fruit trees too.
And now I've planted a lot of these fruit trees, and some of them will be a couple of years off, and some I'm getting some fruits now. But at some point, in the near future, I hope to be mostly self-sufficient with all these different fruits growing on my own land, which is amazing because then it's organic. You're not putting any sprays or anything on there. You can create better soil by adding organic matter back into the soil, composting and different things. So I'm excited for that. It's a whole new journey for me.
So when was it you kind of like, well, as you said, it was when you first came up here to Far North Queensland?
Yeah, so
it's been the last 2 years.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah.
And I bought my land and then really immersed myself into this world of tropical fruit.
Yeah.
And I joined some rare fruit clubs and just getting online into some groups on there and chatting with people and learning and just constantly learning and picking up new information because I had not lived in the tropics before. So.
And what about you, Martin? Your raw journey?
Well, oddly enough, your friend Beck, she did a raw fruit diet for a month, and she started telling all the benefits on Facebook.
Who was that? Sorry.
Beck, Rebecca. You know her last name? She's one of the in the cans vegans.
She's in the cans.
She knows you. She's been up and seen you.
Yeah.
Quite a tall lady. She does massage therapy.
I probably know her, but anyway, continue.
You might know her,
Well, she was doing another month, starting at the beginning of September. So I decided I would join her and have a go, see if I can see some of these benefits. Same as when I did the vegan, I wanted to see that for myself whether these claims that they make are true. So there's only one way to find out. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Just do it yourself. Do it yourself. Find out yourself. You're not going to lose anything. There's no consequences to doing it, other than enlightening yourself and finding out, what the truth is in your own mind.
That's right. And you grow a lot of your fruit too as well now. You've got a good garden.
Yeah, I've planted out at my house, and I've planted a load of fruit trees out on my land. All of it's quite young, so I've only got a few things that are fruit in at the moment. But I find growing trees and planting them out in the garden is very good for your soul.
Yeah.
So I like to do it for that benefit.
Gardening is good for the soul.
And I also find every now and then in Cairns we have vegan meetups, and meeting up with a group of people that are all into the same thing as you and have the same positivity. I call it the same vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like a recharge of your batteries.
Yeah.
I always go away from the meetings full of energy
Nice.
compared to when I went there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find vegan meetups and growing trees very helpful.
Yeah.
on
And
the ins-
how has it been with like the rest of your family? Do they, are they kind of inspired to be eating the same way, or do they have their own path that they're on?
my wife and my daughter eat a lot less in the way of animal products.
Yeah.
I came to the realization on my own terms by myself, and I believe if somebody had tried to make me do it, I wouldn't have done it.
You can't force someone.
You can't.
I'm naturally a stubborn person, so
Yeah.
if you try and tell me to do something, I'm not going to do it. The same as I didn't get vaccinated because I was told to do it, so I didn't do it.
Good on you.
Yeah, nice. Same here.
So I believe at some point everybody with a logical mind will come to the same conclusion,
Yeah.
regardless of whether you tell them to or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I found, even just from spending time with Martin the last couple of years, that his daughter Anna, she would be very close to being vegan. They eat mostly vegan food all the time. When I go around for dinner, it's always a vegan meal or whatever, and
Yeah.
she enjoys that food. I would say very rarely do either of or Anna have any animal products anymore. It would be very, very
Yeah,
rarely.
it'd only
Yeah.
be fish.
And I think they feel a lot better too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I could even see probably in the future they will both be vegan at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And same for my own family that live not here but far away. They've also, just from me leading by example, they've seen that how you can easily live happily and healthily on a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
And obviously whole foods being much better than having processed stuff. But,
Yeah.
My mum is vegan, who lives over in Greece,
Yeah.
and that was from my influence, which I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's nice.
I didn't push, I just led by example, and she was curious, so I shared a few things, and she saw the health benefits and did a bit of her own research, and so I'm really happy about that because she's 76, and she's vibrant and so alive and amazing, and
Wonderful.
all her friends there, unfortunately it's a bit sad that they're all sick. Someone's sick,
Yeah.
someone's taking pills, someone needs some surgery, or people are now at her age passing away, and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. And I look at her and her friends, and I can see the amazing difference, and just the comparison is black and white almost.
Yeah.
And again, she can't obviously try and force her friends to do that. That's their choice. So, I guess you just have to, again, lead by example and
Yeah.
live your own best life. And if other people see you and go, oh, that guy looks doing pretty good,
That's right.
then they might be intrigued. And
Yeah, you can't be too pushy with things.
no,
That's for
I tried to definitely in the beginning, as most vegan people do, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Tried to push a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
When you see the light.
friends and family, you all got to go vegan.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work that well.
We have a friend who came here, and he got his actually you mentioned that video Game Changers, and there's
Yeah,
a few
Martin
others like
watched
Forks Over Knives.
Yeah, Falls Over Knives,
And,
What the Health, and
What the Health.
Cowspiracy.
Yeah, and all those. And this friend of ours, he said to his family, because he was quite rich, he made money on real estate. He said, "I'll give you $1,000 for every video that you watch." So they sat down voluntarily to
That's a-
watch these videos, Earthling as well, and Dominion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
paid them each $1,000 for every video they watched. And of course, that the fact that they had to sit through these things voluntarily because they wanted the money
Yeah.
helped them to realize just what they were participating in.
Oh, it's a good way. I mean, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's quite easy just to, you know, get people to stop and think about things if you offer a little treat, maybe. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I've seen them do it in the
Yeah.
activism in the street.
Yes.
You know, free meal, watch this 3-minute video or something,
Yeah.
or whatever, and I'll give them a little vegan meal or something.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Or, you know, free something to
Yeah.
watch this 3-minute video, and it will be then showing obviously the unfortunate practices that happen in animal agriculture. But it's good because people will sit down and watch the 3-minute video, and a lot of them may have never known what happens in animal agriculture.
Yeah.
I didn't.
No.
You know, 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I somewhere deep in my mind I knew animals were killed,
Yes.
but I'd never watched anything. I'd never really experienced anything. I'd never,
Yeah, yeah.
And only when I watched it, and then I realised, oh yeah, that's obviously what happens.
Obviously, yeah.
It has to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I can't have any more participation in that.
No.
So, yeah, best decision I ever made in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people often claim ignorancy for what's going on, but really the word ignorant comes from to ignore. It doesn't mean that you don't know. That's nescient. If you're ignoring something, it means you know what's going on, but you just don't want to think about it.
Yeah, I guess that's cognitive dissonance.
It is.
That's what they say
It
now.
is. Yeah.
Which is, people do know deep down
They know deep
what
down.
happens,
They do.
but because it's a nasty thing and it's
Yeah.
unpleasant, it's best to just
Yeah.
not think about it.
That's right.
But for me, if I know something, I personally just, I know myself, I can't just not think about it. I
Yeah.
can't block it out
Yeah.
because it won't sit right with my morals and ethics.
Yeah.
And it will bug me.
That's true.
And
It
I,
doesn't change it either.
No, it doesn't change it.
And I thought if I'm an animal,
Yeah.
heck no, do I want those things done to me? And my body doesn't, you know, now work well with cooked foods. So yeah, just 24 hours and Martin's seen it.
It's instant.
I'll be in pain the
It
next
is.
day.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no faking it.
No, you can't.
It's there. It's right in front
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
And if I'm eating fruit and I feel great and the inflammation is low or next to nothing, I just think, well, why wouldn't I just do that?
Yeah.
That's what my body's telling me is the right thing
That's
to do.
right.
It's screaming at you to do it. Yeah.
And that's the other important thing, is to listen to
Yeah.
your own body too.
Absolutely.
A lot of people just think, oh, they shut it out or they take medication or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd have to listen. And yeah.
You do.
And
that-
sometimes it requires taking a little time out even. If you can take time out. from it.
the longer you're eating raw, the quicker that symptom thing will come up that you'll feel the effect of it, as you say, the next day. But I mean, you know, back in the day when I was transiting, I remember I would eat one slice of bread and immediately I would be hack spitting afterwards because my body couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Get this out of me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that anymore, breads
Yeah.
or things.
No, that's it.
because-
You want to get rid of those.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
now if it was the very random cooked food, it would just be something, you know, veggies and stuff. But
Yeah.
even that now, I think it's not really worth it.
No.
And I'm happy fruitarian.
Yeah. Good on you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the interview.
No worries.
Much appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for
Thanks,
having
guys.
us to your place again, Mango. It's
Yeah, it's-
always lovely coming.
No, it's a pleasure having you as always.
Cheers.
It's lovely to see you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.